Raise your hand if you worked in the costuming industry and you're a little fed up with all of these videos about costuming critiques. There are just so many of them. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of why it is that I'm sick of them. And if anyone else, I know, because I've talked to so many people and they're like, it's fine if you're interested in knowing if something is historically accurate or not, but also let's talk about historical accuracy for a second, because I love talking about historical accuracy. A lot of times people will get hung up on historical accuracy and they'll actually not be doing their research in a way that actually presents the full history of what was going on at the time, i.e. leaving out people who aren't white. So don't come at me about historical accuracy when diversity actually existed back then, when there's a ton of history that isn't as easily accessible, but you can still find it if you're looking for it. And then, people will just refuse to talk about that. Okay? If you want to have, conversations about actual fashion, I guess. But, I'm sick of them. And here are some of the reasons why. Number one, costume designers definitely do research. Don't really talk about this very much, but I did a certificate program at the Yale Drama School, and I took a class on actual costume design that focused mostly on doing research for period costumes. And it was taught by Jane Greenwood, the Jane Greenwood. She was very insistent that we know and memorize the silhouette for every single era. Don't come at this being like, they didn't do their research. Do you know that? Have you talked to the designer? Because I guarantee you, I worked on a bunch of shows while I was there at the Yale Drama School working in the costume shop, and every single costume designer came in there with a ton of research that they based their sketches on. We weren't allowed to make our sketches unless we had done our research. And you know what? One day, I decided I was gonna try to just wing it, because I was like, oh, I know Elizabethan. I've been deep diving on that for a long time. And guess what happened? She knew. She was like, this isn't right. So there you go, okay? We are taught and we are told and we do a lot of research. So one thing that people don't realize, maybe, I don't know, it seems weird. I mean, if you've ever worked on any show, then you know that there is a design team, and that consists of the set designer, the director, the costume designer, the lighting designer, the sound designer. It is a team, and it is a collaborative thing, and then you have the actors, and they collaborate on it, and all of it is used and intentional. And if you're doing film, you're using film situations, etc., in order to create a design effect. That is a choice. Most of the time in a production, you're coming at something from a design perspective. You've done your research, and now you're going to put that into a design concept. So it is a design concept. It is a choice. And yes, okay, fine. There are definitely choices that are made sometimes that benefit the actors, because actors love to be pretty. And also sometimes they look at the styles and they're like, you better make me sexy. And I've seen it happen. I've literally seen costume designers have to come in and be like, look, I know that those particular, whatever, are more period correct, but the director would like them to look more sexy. And that is a choice. You're literally working with a team of tons of people, and everyone is focusing on creating one single core concept. Sorry, I came right off the bat, hot. This is personal. I mean, I don't think people really realize how, oh god, these bangs, how much work it is to literally try to get something together that everybody's happy with. Collaboration is no joke. Budget. This doesn't really play too much into the really big, movies and shows and stuff like that, because, they've got a crazy budget. But As someone who has done costume design for community theater and literally been told before, there is no budget, you just pay or spend as little as possible, and that's literally all I'm told, which is ridiculously stressful. And I'm sure it's not the only time that anyone's ever said that to any costume designer ever. Or they hand you a group of costumes that they got from a same show elsewhere, and then they just expect them to fit the actors that they have also hired that are not the same actors. But budget is a huge portion of what is attainable and what can be done. Number 4 is time constraints. I can't even begin to explain to you how much time it actually takes. Well, actually I can, because you see it in my videos all the time. Like, it takes forever to hand make something according to the way that they would have done it. Some things just aren't going to work for some kind of fast-paced costuming requirement. They're just not. I've literally had to get things together in a couple of months. I've done summer stock where it was literally 3 months, maybe 2. You're not gonna make needle lace. You're not getting, like, I know that Jenny Tiramani for the Globe Theater like went and actually found actual lace, which I'm like cringing because I'm like, oh my god, how did they keep that? Because I've watched actors just throw the stuff that I've made on the floor, eat Cheetos in it. Look, no shade to actors. You should know better. You really should. Number 5 is that these are people. These are people who have taken the time to make these things. I have worked in costume shops. I have worked summer stock. And I have worked in conditions often that are terrible with their expectations, toxic, don't treat us well, constantly remind us that we're replaceable, do not value us, do not really care if we burn out. All we really have is the art, right? And each other. And a lot of the times the people who are making these things in these movies are a team. They're not a family, like a toxic family, because gosh, we don't need to do that anymore. Like, oh, come work for us. It's a family. No, this field, especially costuming, is often expected to be like the psychological support for the actors and like everyone else on the team. Sometimes you end up with what I said before, situations and working situations that really are just kind of ridiculous. I know I'm not the only person who feels this way about the costuming industry, but like, lay off of them. Find something else to do. We don't deserve to be bashed like this when we're just trying our best within the confines of something that's kind of toxic. Let's just stop. We need each other more than ever right now. I don't know if I'm a fan of bangs. I'm giving off very Hermione Granger vibes today.